My brother broke into my home so he could move in. I called the police on him. This is episode 2. We got a little TLDR. Basically, OP was just shat on by his parents for years and years and years, to the point where he had to moved out, or actually was kind of more forced out, moved out, was living in a camper van, asked his parents, hey, can I park on your street? They're like,
you can't park this, huh?
You got to pay us rent. He's like, all right, screw that. Pulled himself up by his bootstraps by getting a job, lived in the parking garage of that job while having like a gym membership, stacked his chips, made some cash, and then had enough money to buy a house. Now he's living in the house, and then
it's free real estate.
Who smells it but Dan? Dan gets a whiff of OP having a good life and says, mine? And then goes over and said, I've been popping out all these kids. You know what that means? I deserve this. And so now Dan is saying that he deserves to live in the house. Nay, not just deserves, he is actually trying to actively take it over by telling his parents to tell OP that he needs to live there. And then is actually drilling a hole into OP's house, breaking the locks, moving all of his stuff in by hiring movers. OP's calling the police. Dan's lying and saying, I have papers to live there. OP wanted to rent to me. And that brings us to right here.
My question is, how did they do it so quickly?
It only takes like 30 seconds to drill a lock.
I know, but how did they move? They hired a mover?
Dan had a plan.
Dan had a freaking plan.
Yeah. But let's get some more insight. Maybe we'll learn. So, all right, now let's go in to part 2.
Let's go.
They'd actually drawn up and printed out a fake rental agreement. Frickin' Dan. But my signature was not on it. There was one, but it looked nothing like my handwriting. I don't think any of them had actually seen my signature. So that was the incredibly stupid part on their part. I told my parents and Dan that was stupidly and blatantly fraud. And if the cops investigated, they easily would figure that out. And I don't think going to jail and court would do them any good. It could even make Dan lose his job.
Oh.
What?
Which is his only means of providing for his family, besides just audaciously asking for people to give him stuff. That is a level of security.
That is a source of.
They call it the art of the deal.
He goes into Costco and he's like, mine? I actually am just going to take this. Thank you.
My wife's
have
pregnant.
A free sample policy, and I am here to collect on that.
I don't think so.
Which is his only means of providing for his family. I also said I would get a lawyer and sue for damages if anything of mine was lost, stolen, or broken. And I call CPS too for good measure.
Honestly, fair, because if he can't afford to take care of his kids,
then his kids should be taken from him.
Come on, buddy.
Dan went white and looked really scared when I said that. But my mother got between us and doubled down about how I should just
do
this for
Dan
and live in the darn camper so they can finally have a family home to themselves. Do you think OP would just shrivel up in a hole?
Conspiracy theory.
Do you think he would go in the dirt like a mole? No, he's going to take back what they stole. I yelled at her that if she thought it was such a good idea, she could do it for Dan herself and let Dan have her house to himself instead.
Love that.
The cops separated my mother from me, and I said I wanted them all out right now or I'll press charges.
Good.
I stated in a shout about how they drilled out my front door lock to break in, and the lease papers were obvious fakes. They badly forged my signature, and I have recorded video of sister-in-law attacking me. Those are felonies.
What?
Ooh.
I could F over their lives with it if I wanted. And if they didn't leave, that's exactly what I do. The only reason I hadn't already was for the sake of Dan's kids.
Angel move right here.
Yeah. See, OP won't do it for Dan, but I do it for Dan's kids. So they have one chance to get the F out. The moment my parents heard that, I think it finally clicked that they could not force me to do it for Dan. My mother surrendered and said she'd put an end to this plan. Then she went over to sister-in-law and spoke with her quietly for a minute while my father spoke to Dan. Sister-in-law instantly started loudly crying and ripping up the fake rental papers into tiny bits and tossing them like confetti. Only to have an officer to tell them to pick up the bits of paper or he'd cite them for littering.
Let's go.
Damn.
I like when the cops finally step in and do something.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
like,
They're like,
You know?
No, they're like, we can't help you, OP. We can't kick them out legally. And this, and then she starts ripping, and he's like, well, that's littering.
That's
so
littering.
I
Yeah,
can't
hold on
charge
that.
you.
I gotta draw the line somewhere.
Both of the cops at this point had the I don't get paid enough for this look on their
I mean,
faces.
yeah, they get paid.
Dan,
well.
wait, what?
So he's like, he get paid pretty well. They do take a
like this is
lot
the
of budget.
South.
They take a lot of budget. Anyway.
Dan had to start telling his kids to load their stuff back into the moving truck. The kids were all crying, and the eldest was sobbing that he won't get his own room now. Sister-in-law and Dan gathered their kids up to try and make one last pathetic attempt to guilt me with the sad family routine. You know, where they all gather together in a sort of group hug while facing one direction. And they're like, all right, little Timmy, on cue, cry. Waterworks, Jimmy, give a little wail, higher, key of A, a little higher. And now all together now.
More distress, Tommy.
That voice needs to waver a little bit more. There we go. Right on key. Right on key. All right. Now who's ready to break a leg to really get the sympathy points? So I swear I think they'd practice it beforehand. All the kids had the same pleading look with their
They ask you how you are, you just have
quivering mouths. Sister-in-law kept rubbing her pregnant belly and tilting her head to look like a sad puppy, and my brother just made the saddest face he possibly could and said, please, don't do this. We need to be able to live here. But I didn't falter and told them to keep packing. All the kids and sister-in-law turned the crying up to 11, and Dan yelled at me, are you satisfied with yourself? You've denied us a home because you're too selfish to share and help out family.
Oh,
Hypocrisy.
I ended up laughing. Like a maniac. And retorted that what he was trying to do was taking, not sharing. And no amount of crying will make me let his family move in because he's no brother of mine anymore.
ooh.
He's just an entitled who thinks he can take whatever he wants from me, like when we were kids.
Mm-hmm.
Dan started F-bombing me until
In
the
front of the
cops
kids?
told him to cool it, or he'd be in cuffs regardless if I wanted to press charges.
Please,
Put him
please,
in cuffs. Put him in
please.
cuffs.
He sucked in his lips and looked a mix of afraid and supremely pissed off. I asked the cops if they could stick around until my parents, brother, and sister-in-law had all left, and they said they had no intention of going anywhere until this had been resolved. In fact, in the next few minutes, 2 cops became 4 as more drove in
Whoa.
for whatever reason. That gave my parents some extra incentive to get moving. I made Dan give me the keys to the new lock he'd put on the front door, though I got another lock the next day anyway because I didn't know if he had copies on the keys or not. Smart.
Yep.
Smart. He was really reluctant to hand them over. Then, instead of handing them to me, he actually threw them down the street and into a storm
That's
drain
not aim.
while saying to go get them myself. Yeah, Dan, say what you will about Dan, but he's got an arm.
Got an arm on him.
He's got an arm.
Back in high school,
Yeah.
a star
He was
quarterback.
going to go pro,
He walks
but
over
instead
this-
lived with his mom for 20 years.
He walks
If I
over
went to
this-
the NFL, would have been fine. Would have been completely different, man.
He walks over the storm drain, and there's a clown, and he's like, the kids can come live with me.
Get out, clown.
Wait, yeah, no, he takes the. He
takes
takes
his
the-
my drain
He's
now.
on my drain.
Look at my wife. She's pregnant.
But one of the cops scolded him for that and made him go get them. He had to pull the grate off just to get at them, which is no easy task. Those grates are
I
heavy.
love that.
And he got pretty dirty in the process. When he got the keys back, he just grumbled, then slammed them down into my hand. I then told them all to leave and to never come back. But guess what, guys? This is only part 2 of a long, winding road to part 3, 4, 5, and 6. So buckle in, y'all. My mother said I'd be disowned for this, as if that were some kind of threat to me.
Please.
And I
Please.
voiced that to
Please disown
them.
me.
And then, in an overly sarcastic tone, I said something along the lines of, oh no, that means I won't get to come to any holidays with you guys where I always get treated like crap by you all anyway because Dan has always been
Your favorite son anyway? How about as God says, Dan threw 4 touchdowns in a high school football game and then married Peggy.
That's exactly what happened. You treated me all so badly when I was growing up that if Dan ever needs an organ donor, I wouldn't give him anything.
Dan needs an organ. They're like, just do it for Dan.
Just do it for
give him your
Dan.
heart. You don't need it.
Yeah, give him a heart. You don't need it. So do like you always told me to do when I was mistreated by all of you and suck it up.
Suck it up.
So satisfying.
That is a freaking throwdown.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
My parents were floored after I said all of that. And the quartet of cops,
You gotta go away or we'll arrest you.
you gotta go away or we'll arrest you for the rest of your days.
Arrest you.
Stop the scuff. I'll put
Stop
you
the
in cuffs. Hey, stop fighting.
stop,
You're not that
shoo-ba-da-ba.
buff.
Ba-da-da-da.
I think we've all had enough. All right, the quartet of cops left after that song. They were looking pretty judgmental at them as well. I tell you, if you want to put nasty parents like mine on the spot, confront them in front of cops. Because they'll likely not try anything really stupid then. My mother just started crying and walking away. My father just stood there looking like he wanted to hit me. And Dan, just held his kids in defeat. That's right, Dan. Oh, and sister-in-law was off having a tantrum in my front lawn. Soon enough, they all formed a line handing out boxes and got their stuff out of my house. Nothing had been unpacked yet, so it was all taken out pretty quickly. But while doing it, my mother kept saying it wasn't too late, and I could still
Do it for Dan.
several times. Each time trying to bargain more and more to try to make me change my mind. She said that Dan could pay me rent if I let them stay. And when that didn't work, she said I could move back in with them to let Dan rent my house so I wouldn't have to share the building. I told her, shut up and keep packing boxes because I don't want Dan or his family around. I don't want his money, and I certainly don't want to live with him or my parents ever again after the way they treated me when I was a kid. Making a deal with my parents would be like making a deal with the devil to me. Sister-in-law ended up having another tantrum after hearing that and threw a box down, then sat on the ground having a pity party because she didn't want to go back to sharing a house with my parents. And she just sat looking angry and sad there until everyone else was finished. She didn't even want to get up when it was time to leave.
What a child.
I know.
What a
Just
freaking...
like sitting there like, come on.
I mean, to be fair, like they have been living like children
Yeah.
under Dan's parents' roof for the last like years.
I wonder what
years,
the split of...
almost a
I'm
decade.
guessing it's 4 kids in one room, 2 of them in one room, and then the parents in one room.
I think so.
But it's
That's
just
crazy. That's a full
pretty
house.
nuts. That's a full house.
So they finally got everything out of the house and into the truck. So before they left, I laid into my parents one last time about all the crap they put me through growing up. And with 4 cops being right there, they couldn't do much other than stand there and take it for once.
Delicious.
I called them out on so many things that happened and even pointed out how they couldn't just do something nice for me. They couldn't do it for me.
Do it for me.
Like letting me stay over with a camper when I was homeless and trying to get back on my feet. How they let Dan and sister-in-law ridicule me and call me a bum. Well, who's the bum now?
Got him.
You're the bum. You're double cheeked up.
Come on.
They wanted to kick me out of my own house so Dan could stay in it free of charge. Yet when I needed a place to go, they wanted to gouge me for more than I could afford just to park my camper when they knew I was out of a job. There were more extremely judgmental stares from the cops when I said all of that. So I put my parents on the spot one more time and asked them what I ever did other than being born to deserve being treated so badly. Because when I finally have a bit of success in life, they want to snatch it away from me for their favorite child, since they'd rather I give everything to Dan and have nothing for myself. I bought my house using the money that I earned. I owed them nothing, and I won't be asking anything from them ever again because clearly I will never be anything more than a doormat or a cash cow in their eyes. Whew. What do you even say to that?
I don't know, but Cowbot as God says, sister-in-law is hot, right? Okay, hear me out. Dan gets the camper. The kids get a new stepdad.
No, but she sucks.
She
But
does suck.
And it's 4 kids.
But
And
she
it's 4
sucks.
kids.
Yeah.
Ew.
Oh, my God.
Oh, it's bad. All right.
Oh.
Anyway, I got no answers from them. They just stood there looking like fish out of water. So I continued ranting and asked them, what in God's name? Oh, they haven't had enough. OP has led like years of trauma out on them. What in God's name made them think they were such good parents after all that? My father was beet red, but more from embarrassment than anger this time. And my mother was crying that she was a horrible person. I bluntly agreed. That she is a horrible person.
Mother and a horrible person. OP's like, yes.
Yeah. They all are. And I bet they'll all go to hell for it too.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But
He's
if
going
I'd
in.
called them out on all this stuff in private instead of in public, they just get mad at me and still act like I'm the wrong. They just kept up the denial for so long that it became part of who they are. My mother buried her face in my father's jacket to cry, and my father looked more defeated than I've ever seen him. Check and mate.
Boom.
Dan and his family avoided me entirely as they finished putting everything back in the moving truck. I made sure nothing of mine was stolen. Not that I had a chance to get much furniture yet. I was lucky to even have a couch at that time. They all got back in their vehicles, and sister-in-law just stood staring at me with malice until my brother finally got her to drive the minivan home. And as soon as they were all gone, I got back. Oh my God. I got back online again and spilled the beans on what happened.
What's the in the city thing that she does? She goes on
Where
like,
she's like,
Like a blog.
yeah.
yeah.
She's like,
How she always started that?
Mr. Big was Mr. Big was at it again with his
Well, there
big
you have it,
wig.
folks. Back in my house. And
She always
finally
ends
got
with
it.
it's like, but that makes me question, can men and women really be friends? And then it cuts to us like, and the Samantha's like, men are good for nothing but a quick F and some good tongue. And then the other one's like, oh, you can't say that. I just want my man to take me away into the sunset. Yeah.
So that's what's
I watched
happening
a
here.
lot of in the city.
I've seen maybe one episode. Sam's seen so much.
I've seen a couple of seasons.
Yeah.
I had like a day or two, like a couple months ago, where I just spent a whole weekend.
No, I
This is
came
true.
I came
Watching
into
Sex and the
your
City.
room and you were just like huddled up watching.
Yeah.
Sex and the City.
Dude, one time I was
Kicking
walking
his
down
feet
the
in the air.
hallway. He had headphones in and his computer was up. And I was like, oh, hey, Sam. And then he was just like right into his room. And I was like, and it looked like something spicy was happening. I'm like,
Something spicy was happening. The City is a spicy show.
It's got Sex and the City.
And,
Makes
and the
sense.
city.
But you know what's spicy?
This next story,
Oh,
part of
the
the story.
same story.
All right, wait, really quick. And I think this is probably a no, but has OP gone too far?
No.
Yeah.
I don't think he's gone far enough.
Yeah.
yeah, dude, he should have pressed charges.
Yeah.
I would've been
Yeah.
pressing
Yeah,
charges.
let us know in the comments in the chat. Do you think OP has gone too far or not far enough? What would you do in addition or in subtraction to what OP has done?
Just to stoke the flames there. One could argue that it's like, hey, you've not gone far enough on pressing charges. Go do that. But maybe he's starting this like descent and wormhole on like, posting about it and like all this stuff where it's like maybe that's not good for his own mental sanity. Like he'll get all wrapped up into it.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily
an a-hole to himself.
Yeah, an ale to himself. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I think there is an argument there.
Yeah, because I think there's defensive and then there's offensive.
Yeah.
Right? Plays that you can do when people are effing you over. And I feel like when you start going
gotta go
offensive, you usually invite more drama into your life than just going defensive. I don't think OP has crossed into that territory yet,
Yeah.
but I could see it maybe start to happen.
He needed to I think that this was like he said, like they would just deny it if the cops weren't there.
Yeah.
This might be his only opportunity for
To really
them
get
to
off the chest
actually
Yeah.
sink in
and listen.
And also
listen.
it might be like, because they might go and online and say like, oh, he's
Yeah.
taking our home, blah, blah, blah. And so this is just preemptive.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Another great point. I didn't think about that.
There's this Captain America quote.
On your left.
That's what.
My God doesn't dress like that. That's my favorite quote.
Oh yeah, I remember
Just
that.
Captain America.
Where
Avengers Assemble.
Pork smash.
You know what?
Dang, okay.
You guys don't deserve to hear the Captain
know what
America.
is it. Go
say it. It's taking you out.
You've lost it. You know
What
what?
is it?
No.
I didn't
Oh,
say
come on.
anything
What is
much.
it? What is it?
You guys really want to know?
Yeah.
Okay. So I've been watching a lot of Marvel. Yeah. Do you really care about what a guy like me has to say? You're finally ready to give a nice guy a chance. No, it's not even that great because it's so divorced. Anyway, he says like they're talking about using Ultron as like a protective layer across the earth because like if we attack first and use Ultron, then no one else will go against us. And then Captain America is like, you know, I was frozen the ice for 70 years, but I know that when we attack to make sure the bad guys don't attack, it's always a bad idea.
That's true.
That was good. That was good.
Yes.
You guys just saying that, or you guys mean
No,
it?
it's
That's a good
It's
quote.
true.
It's a good quote.
It's
It goes to your point
There
very
we go.
well.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right.
Riley might. Sophia's.
No,
My parents were too embarrassed to even try to defend their actions this time. And while the family was somewhat split before this accident, it was now a landslide in my favor. Nearly all the family had sided with me after this incident, and those who haven't simply aren't siding with anybody. No matter how much my parents previously tried the
We did it for Dan
line, no one listened anymore. I like that this story has a catchphrase.
Yeah.
It's great. So any remaining familial support they had is now gone. Many in the family who I expected wouldn't side with me did. That includes the former flying monkeys. So I guess they finally had enough. Around that time, I offered to host half the family at next Christmas Eve in my new house. Guess who wasn't invited, John? Who? The parents.
I see you. They're gonna come anyway.
Oh, you're
Ooh.
so
They're going to
right.
show up.
Oh my God.
Where are my Christmas presents? That's his nieces and nephews.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're like,
Are they?
Oh, I thought my Christmas present was going to be your house.
That's what my daddy said. I was gonna get a room.
But you know what the new catchphrase is now?
What?
We didn't for Dan.
Oh,
Ooh.
we didn't for
Dan.
Dan. Whoa.
Damn.
Kind of slaps. I wasn't blocked on my brother and sister-in-law's profile, surprisingly, and I saw sister-in-law had her fourth baby in early November. They are still living with my parents. I'm pretty sure they knew I was watching because sister-in-law kept making passive-aggressive posts every couple of weeks or so about not having enough space while living with my parents.
and it's just
Do
like
people
in
make
really-
posts like that on Facebook?
People make weird posts on Facebook.
Yeah,
Like,
people make
oh,
weird posts.
I don't have enough space on like where I'm living right now. I wonder whose fault it is. People
And like
do
in
that?
really small, like it's really small. It says, "Do it for Dan."
Wait, people are
Subliminal messaging.
yeah, do it for Dan. Wait, people are like adding each other on Facebook like that?
Dude, people go pretty crazy on
People
Facebook.
go
I've had to block family
crazy.
members on Facebook because of their BS.
Like
Yeah.
what? Like
I mean,
what-
I've seen like Instagram, like people I follow on Instagram post like pretty passive aggressive posts. And I'm like,
about people you know?
mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The only context I've seen it in is like breakups where it's like, oh, like I've never been happier to be alone. And then, and then
That
it's
sounds
just,
just sad.
but then it's like, oh, like I'm so, there we go. It's like, oh, look at my before and after, just lost 150 pounds.
I've done that with TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like me before, me after.
And it has
Yeah.
like what's like the Chad music? Dung 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 dung
Yeah,
dung
yeah, yeah.
dung woo, 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 woo.
Yeah.
And then it's Riley looking like
I'm
a
hearing
Chad.
that in my head right now.
Yeah.
We should read crazy Facebook drama.
That's in the. That's
We
in the
really
thing.
should.
It
We
is.
really
It is.
should.
Yeah.
Nina's working on it.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Shout out Nina.
Shout out Nina.
She's the best.
Shout out the Neenster. Probably to see if she can still guilt me. And I'm sure it's driving my mother and father up the wall because they aren't getting any peace and quiet in their old age with 3 rowdy, obnoxious kids, a mentally unstable sister-in-law, but still hot, my golden child brother, and a newborn baby in the house all at once.
Well, we know that they're awful because the parents are trying so hard to get rid of them.
Yeah. Perhaps they could move into a camper in their own backyard and then let Dan take over their house completely. They might get some peace then. Yeah, they could do that for Dan. Guess what? This is far from over. There's part 3, 4, 5, and 6
from over.
coming up.
Guess what? All proceeds from this video go directly to Dan.
Yeah. Just kidding.
There was supposed to be more, but this post got way too long, so I'll be posting part 3 later. But if you want to see us be a part of your lives, you should join us live every weekday at 3 p.m. PST right here on YouTube. But there's going to be part 3 coming up
That there will be.
right now.
After this break.
Unless, right, how long are we at?
30 minutes.
All right.
Dang.
TLDR, I'll read this TLDR for everyone. So TLDR, before we jump into the next part, I had to live in a camper after losing my job in 2020. Parents refused to help me. I got a better job and eventually bought a house. Parents found out about the house, tried to make me let my brother and his wife, who was pregnant with a baby number 4, in and kick me out to make me live in my camper again. I kicked them out, but later on, they tried to move in anyway by breaking in. Police were called. They freaked out and tried to guilt me. I made them leave, and then I publicly exposed my parents, and now the entire rest of the family is on my side, and my parents are utterly destroyed about it. And now we're going to go into part 3.
Let's do it. I went no contact with my insane family, but they showed up for my Christmas party anyways. I was trying to keep things in 2 posts. Not going to happen. But I realized while compiling everything that 2 parts was just too dang long, so I've divided into part 3. For those who commented in mass to get cameras, I will when I can afford it. I'm still in financial recovery from buying a house last year, and as far as I know, good cameras need a decent computer to record on. I don't have anything more than a 3-year-old laptop that runs Windows 10. Yes, I am aware of doorbell cams. That'll be the first kind that I get. And for those who keep saying that I should have gotten my brother and sister-in-law arrested, the only reason I didn't was because they are parents. Their kids need them. And if Dan was arrested, he'd likely lose his job. And without that, his family has no money, and sister-in-law has a few months old baby right now. Neither of them need to end up in jail. But you don't need jail for revenge.
Whoa.
Police can help, yes. But I got payback without filing a police report. Would I be this merciful again? More than likely not, and they know it. By the way, in case you forgot, this comes from Camper Nomad on r/OK Storytime. So I decided to wait on making an account and posting until after the new year, just in case more stuff happened. Olivia, Sam, it did.
Oh, no.
It did. More stuff happened. More stuff happened.
Oh, no.
As previous readers know, my sister-in-law was making passive-aggressive posts on social media that were obviously directed at me, especially since sister-in-law had her 4th baby in November. She was posting the same repetitive nonsense over and over again. She just found semi-clever ways of rewording it. But she pretty much kept regurgitating that she was tired of living with my parents, that there isn't enough space, she needs her own house, blah, 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 blah.
Blah, 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 blah. This man just watched all of the Hotel Transylvania.
I did.
$1 billion industry.
It's true. It's true. I looked it up. I know it sounds dismissive, but live through what I have with these people, and you'd probably be ready to sarcastically play tiny violins in front of them too. Classic scene. They're just that bad. And since I waited until January to make an account, more happened just like I thought. I stated before that I'd invited half the family over for a Christmas Eve party at my house. And everyone I invited came, even though it was a fairly long drive of about 3 to 4 hours for them. But they wanted to come and show me their support. I was praised by a lot of them for how hard I'd worked to get a house on my own. And they were really sorry for everything that I went through. I was asked why I didn't just take my camper and drive the 3 hours back to them instead of living pretty much homeless for so long. And I had to sheepishly admit that I was very attached to living around here, and I had my best employment opportunities in this area. Hey, listen.
Hey.
If that's what you want,
It works for you. It works for you.
go for it. That's what I say. And I ain't afraid to say it. My
No, we
hometown,
ain't.
my hometown doesn't have a lot of great job opportunities in my field, if any at all. And I wanted to make my own way as much as I could. An answer they overall accepted. We moved on to having a rather nice party, the best I'd been in years. Some relatives even brought CDs of great Christmas albums. And I have to say,
CDs. How old is this?
2020.
I mean, maybe
CDs.
it's like, but this is like all your freaking aunts and uncles and
They're like, we
old
brought
people.
the CD.
We brought the CD.
Last Christmas.
This is some John activities.
Yeah. that's
I gave you
very
my home.
Hey
The
guys,
very
check out
next
this
day.
Kanye West Christmas edition.
good.
I love it.
Kanye West.
He did a great album. I just listen to it on my CD.
Jesus born.
That would actually go kind of hard. Not even gonna lie. Anyways, everything else Riley says is a lie.
He redoes Little Drummer Boy
Yeah.
Dude.
with his own drumming beats.
Oh,
pretty
dude, it's all 808 beats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little 808 boy.
Little 808 boy.
That's pretty good. Pretty good. Little NPC
Oh
boy.
my god.
Oh god. So back to the story and away from Riley's lies. I have to say, the one my uncle brought of Ray Charles was my favorite. I can't remember what it is, but one of my favorite Christmas songs is also Ray Charles.
Ray
Maybe it was
Charles
that.
X Kanye West.
Can't win with these. So he sings Christmas songs like no one else I've ever heard. It was a grand and happy time. And it felt for once like I could just forget my past issues and enjoy the moment. Let me read.
I'm trying to figure out what that song is.
What the Kanye
Oh.
West? Ray
Oh,
Charles?
because he's
It might be
done a
last
whole
Christmas.
album.
It might be last Christmas.
No,
What?
Last
Christmas.
Christmas.
That's
I
by,
gave my heart.
Last Christmas, dun, 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 dun,
Oh.
dun,
I know
dun,
the
dun, dun, together.
Oh, he did Baby It's Cold Outside.
Baby, it's cold outside.
Did he do like the
The
Baby It's
weather
Cold
is
Outside?
fair. It's cold
That
outside.
Spirit of Christmas
I
remastered.
really can't
I can't remember
stay.
actually. I have to do some digging.
We
We
Oh.
can't play. We
I
can't
didn't
play it.
mean
The stream will get taken down.
I didn't mean to. I just wanted to see which
He's trying to
one was.
demonetize us.
For real.
All right.
Anyways, we're getting back to the story now. So, but I wouldn't be writing this if everything had stayed this way. Beautiful Christmassy winter wonderland. About 2 hours into the party, you know who showed up, and I'm not talking about Voldemort.
Damn.
Well,
Damn!
basically,
God damn!
my parents' brother and sister-in-law popped in trying to look all smiles. They didn't even knock, just walked right in my front door like they were meant to be there. I shut the music off, record scratch,
Yeah.
and told them to leave immediately.
You need to leave.
Is that from something?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, John.
What is
forget.
it from?
I
It's a meme. It's just a meme.
It's just a meme.
Oh.
It's a sound
TikTok.
bit.
But why? Well, I know it's from TikTok. But what is the thing? See, no one
need to
knows.
See,
leave.
Riley's like, oh my
Yeah.
God, John, you don't know. And it's like, yeah, it's a TikTok thing, but like, come on.
Sometimes-
It's like when Woody Allen's interviewing, I forget which woman, and he's like, all right, let's ask serious topics. What are your favorite philosophers? And she's like, oh, I don't really follow philosophers. What are your favorite philosophers? And he's like, all of them, all of the
He's
best.
just like,
But she's
which
like, oh, no,
ones?
really? Tell me, give me the names.
I liked that one.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's fire. But
Do you even philosophize if
Yeah.
you don't know your top 3 favorite
Dude,
philosophers?
Top five.
Aristotle, Plato.
You're so basic.
What is going on?
what's happening?
Oh, never mind. I
Kant.
see. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
Are we good?
So sorry.
Serving
So sorry.
Kant.
We can't say that word.
Kant.
Oh,
Kant.
Kant.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
No, you can't say
Kant.
that.
Careful.
You can't.
Careful now. You Australians, okay? You need to zip your lips. All right. Anyways.
Socrates.
Okay. I shut off the music and told them to leave immediately. They begged to stay and said that they brought gifts. One of my uncles stood up and yelled at them before I got another chance to
He
speak.
said they're pronounced GIFs.
And he said they don't
gifts.
deserve to be in my home or my life after the crap they tried to pull months earlier. And he was backed up by several other relatives. Mind you, this guy is my mother's brother, and he used to love her to pieces until he found out about the crap that went on between me and my parents.
Wait, the mother's brother used to love her?
No washing machine needed. My grandparents, my mother's parents, as old as they are, hurriedly got in between us and them and my parents and said to my parents that if they want to make amends to me, it's far too late. It says far too soon, but I'm thinking it's far too late. And they've never been more disappointed in them than they were this past year.
Wow. Not your parents' disappointment.
Dude. They'd hidden their favoritism for my brother from prying eyes for a long time, but no one was fooled anymore. And they needed to make a serious effort to try and actually treat me like a son if they ever wanted to be in my life again. They turned to Dan and sister-in-law and said that they've seen the repetitive nonsense that sister-in-law keeps posting about, and they're tired of it.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
And to just let it go already. My house will not become their new home.
This house is not a home.
Let's go.
Yeah.
For you.
Why don't you not come over?
Yeah. This is so the entire family basically stood up and spoke for OP.
Yes.
There
There we
go.
go. Round of applause.
Yes.
That's great.
W extended family.
And then the whole
In the
room
chat.
started clapping.
Yeah. Yeah. And then everyone started clapping.
Conspiracy theory. There's been a good several months in between the like police at the house situation and Christmas, right? The family has been just like watching CSI, just like doing anything they can to like get their plot foiling skills up, right?
Yeah.
They are cooking a plot that is way more foolproof
Ooh.
than their past one. That's what I think.
They're cooking something up.
They're cooking
And
something up,
it's disgusting.
and it's
and it's
Smells
disgusting.
bad.
It's nothing like my Instapot meals that I've been making. Let me
Yeah,
tell you
Sam's
that.
on the
I'm
Instapot
on the Instapot
grind.
grind.
How's that been going?
Dude, it's been great, actually.
Soft meats,
Soft meats, tender, just melts in my mouth.
love that.
Hmm
I made really good sweet potatoes. Riley got the recipe from me.
Oh, yeah, those were
Yes.
good.
Yeah, they're very easy. Yeah, I texted you like
The spicy
immediately.
ones? Yeah, those were
It's
so good.
literally just a little bit of olive oil. You put some
Pepper?
salt, pepper, paprika, cayenne pepper, red chili flakes, and then thyme, like dried
Yeah,
thyme.
yeah.
Spicy.
And time.
Woo!
No way.
Speaking of time, it's time to get back to the story. So, sister-in-law went back to her old standard of crying and had a pity party about how she would be the one living here, not me. She plopped down in a chair to have a tantrum and say, it wasn't fair that I got this house to myself when I have no family on my own, and she has 4 kids that need more space. And she just wanted a better place to live in and feel like a real mom. It was petty of me, but I loudly pointed out that she sucks as a mother because
God.
she lets my mother do most of the parenting while she sits around on her butt all day drinking, playing on her phone, or going out and spending all of Dan's money. And she has the nerve to complain about it. I even joked that I'm surprised her baby doesn't get wasted from her milk because she drinks too much booze.
Whoa.
Is that
Can
over
you-
the line? Is
Can
that over
you
the line?
drink alcohol as a breastfeeding mother?
You're not supposed to. No. Wait. No.
Yeah.
You can't?
I don't know if it. I'm not.
Are you sure?
I definitely know you're not supposed to, but I don't know
A
if
lot
it
of women are like, I
does it-
can't drink right now because I'm
presumably.
breastfeeding.
Probably doesn't help.
probably didn't help.
Like,
Well, then
we got a
just do
lot of mothers in
formula.
chat right now. I bet you they have an
Oh,
answer.
true.
You
Yeah,
do
because like,
formula.
yeah, if you do formula, then it's like, yeah, but when the babies just grow and it's like, you got no choice. It's gonna pass down, but then you got
Nice.
formula.
So you got
While
formula
it's
afterwards.
safest not to drink alcohol while breastfeeding, moderate consumption is generally considered safe.
Yeah.
So you
Got
can
it.
drink like a 12-ounce beer, and that's okay.
It's actually good for the baby.
40s for babies.
Yeah,
You drink a
dude.
glass of red wine every on
Yeah.
occasion. It's great
My
for the
baby came out cultured.
Pinot Grigio.
You have to pump and dump, throw it away. You should not drink if you're breastfeeding a child.
So
You
it's
can,
like
but
when
you're
it's
not
in your
supposed to.
system, like you could drink, but then you would have to get rid of that.
Oh, that makes sense. So yeah, pump and then you're good to go.
Mm.
Wow, we learned so much. Anywho, so which I admit went a bit too far as I got some stairs. Did it go too far? Sophia and Sam?
Nope.
I mean, it's harsh, but she's being a little cray
Yeah,
cray.
maybe like unnecessary given how much ammo he has.
Maybe
Yeah.
he just needed to be like, "You're terrible." Just whisper it to her.
Oh.
That works. Anywho, let us know in the comments. Fight it out. Was that too far? Debate. So, and sister-in-law demanded to know if I was calling her a bad mom. I said, the evidence speaks for itself. That's fire. That's
Savage.
That's how
Ooh,
it's
I don't
done.
need to call you anything.
You called yourself that because you suck. And if she wanted to be able to afford to move out of my parents' house someday, then she needs to put her college degree to some use, get a job,
Woo.
and learn to save money.
Ooh.
My mother I wish we were there so we could
Yeah,
all
yeah.
together.
Background.
Burn.
My mother already does most of the childcare for my brother's kids anyways, so she'd have plenty of time after her baby gets a little older. My brother's eldest kid, who's 7 years old, ran up and started kicking and screaming at me for yelling at his mom.
Aw.
I mean, you know.
That kid's
blame
just
him.
brainwashed. He doesn't know.
Yeah, he doesn't know. And he kept at me about how his mom said that I was the bad guy who made her cry and didn't let them live here.
Oh, get a life.
Get a life.
Freaking kid.
Yeah, come on.
You get to work, get a house.
Yeah.
Dude, this kid's villain arc is going to be crazy.
Oh, no. What if that's all the parts? Oh, no. They all grew up. Oh, God.
They grow up and learn to hate OP.
Oh, and he has like he's being attacked from 4 different angles. Oh, God. That's when my brother grabbed his son to pull him away. But all the other relatives jumped back in, and this sort of turned into a family intervention against my sister-in-law and brother.
Whoa.
She was crying. Her new baby was crying. Her kids were crying. Heck, even Dan was very nearly in tears from the verbal lashing he was being assaulted with. He ended up sitting on the ottoman that I keep the shoes in the front by the door in and looked like a complete wreck. He couldn't look anyone in the eye.
Is Dan?
Dan couldn't do it.
Couldn't do it.
Gosh
The little Dan
darn
that
Dan. The little Dan.
He couldn't even say 2 words to me.
What was the one word he said?
Can't. Dan.
Yeah, he just says Dan like a Pokemon. Dan.
Can't.
Dan.
Not with a whole house filled with angry people ready to judge him if he tried to let out his inner golden child again. Oh, so the fit that he's like, oh, if I say anything, everyone's going to snap on him. So might as well just shut up. Good plan. If they weren't there to get in his way, I'd bet that this would have ended up a repeat of when he tried to order me around and try to take my house months earlier.
Dude.
It smells really good. I'm like salivating.
I'm so sorry.
Same. By this point, though, he's been so thoroughly humiliated that his and my parents' reputation in the family was completely destroyed because the masks were all off by now.
Whew. But the gloves were on.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Soon after, my parents, brother, and sister-in-law all left in defeat. The party resumed, and we all avoided speaking of what just happened for the rest of the evening.
No way. If that happened, immediately I'm going off in the corner with my cousins and being like, oh,
Yeah.
that's
Can't believe that
crazy.
happened.
What
Did you just see Uncle Dan?
Since most of the adults had been drinking, everyone stayed at my house that night. Wow, like that's a lot of people. I even let some of
How
them.
big is OP's house? It's like
It's got
3
3
bedrooms,
bedrooms.
right?
bedrooms.
Enough to move in his brother's family.
True. And then they use that as evidence. Oh, no. see,
We're
you
back
made
at
it work. Oh, my
Square
God.
one.
I even let some of them sleep in the camper, so there'd be enough space. I admit it also makes a good guest house. My relatives all wanted a tour of the house earlier as well, and they said they couldn't believe I'd been living in it for around 2 years. I got a lot of questions about it, like what summer and winter was like, and so on. I was up earlier than everyone else Christmas morning and had a fresh pot of coffee and some ibuprofen from those spiked eggnog hangovers a few of them had.
I love eggnog.
Dude, this sounds like
Spiked eggnog is so
I don't like
vibey.
spiked eggnog, but I like eggnog.
Spiked
Same.
eggnog's great.
Southern Comfort.
Yeah.
That's brand.
What? I
Oh,
don't.
I don't
I
know
just said
about
yeah.
that
Oh, yeah, I got you. I love it.
But I
I
love
might
the
have had
vibe
that.
of this whole like Christmas thing where
Yeah.
everyone's
Yeah.
sleeping on the floor.
They're like
and-
whispering about all the drama
Yeah.
that just happened.
Sounds great.
Hope
Sounds
he's
fun.
drinking some spiked eggnog.
lit
Question.
adult Christmas.
Was this family supportive of him earlier?
That's what I want to know. They're like, you were living in a camper van.
Well, so
But
here's
where
the
were they?
situation, as I understand it.
How do you understand it?
So they did defend him as a kid, but they would hide, the golden brother stuff
Mm-hmm.
from them, right? So my guess is they didn't get the full picture to where they would like stand up the way they have. Just like they would make, snide, snarky comments, and then the family would fix their act just while they were in front of him. And the issue later on was he basically didn't go to them and tell them the full extent. He didn't want to leave his hometown.
Got you.
So like, yeah, that's.
Oh, because they're not from there.
They live 3 to 4 hours away, and
Okay.
Opie wanted to stay in the town. Opie didn't say this, but I'm reading in between the lines that he
Yeah.
didn't kind of tell them the full extent while it was happening or when it started.
Sure.
That's my guess. And maybe it was one of those situations where it's like, listen, we're here to help, but like, I guess, we'll let OP decide what he wants to do, and we're always
Yeah.
here. And then he never asked, they never asked.
Yeah.
Maybe it was.
Ming Ming, eggnog is like a rich, creamy, sweet drink.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
It's like thick, I would say like heavy cream kind of consistency and vibe, but then
Yeah.
it's like spiced
Yeah.
and like cinnamony.
It's the right
very good.
balance.
Yeah.
It's not too
No.
heavy.
You put nutmeg in it.
Always.
Dude,
I put a
I'm-
little bit of nutmeg and then we put it in the microwave. Heat it up.
Mm.
You're having cold eggnog?
Oh yeah.
Ew.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
You're
actually,
heating
okay,
it
I
up?
don't say
Heating
ew.
it up is you.
Cold eggnog is delicious, but also hot eggnog, delish.
I've
Trust
never
me.
had
Really
that.
hot. You should
like
try
hot-
some
it's
hot eggnog. It's
delicious.
amazing.
I don't know.
It's
This is new.
delicious.
This is super new.
We get a fresh nutmeg so we can grind it over.
All
Guys,
right,
can
Mister,
we
I
got
have
some
1,000
fresh
houses.
can we have like a Christmas
John, I have
party?
1,000 houses to
Can we have a Christmas party this year
Yes,
and I'll
let's-
have eggnog?
Yeah.
Let's do a Christmas party. We are doing
Sleepover Christmas party.
Yes, with boxes, and we all have boxes, and we sleep in the boxes.
Yes.
And no one can sleep in a bedroom. Everyone has to sleep in the living room.
Only if I get a box.
real beds.
Yeah.
We're doing Hollow Stream because we stream
On
on Halloween,
Thursday.
I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but we're gonna
I
have to
believe.
cut it off.
True. And then Merry Streamus.
Oh, Merry Streamus.
Hollow Stream.
The
and then
12
Merry
days of
Streamus.
Streamus.
12 days of
wait.
Streamus.
Wait, how close to Christmas are we getting with this stream?
Oh yeah.
Not on Christmas Day.
On
Okay,
Christmas,
okay.
on Christmas Day, Riley.
Yeah,
Okay,
it won't
we're
be.
gonna
It
have
won't
to
be on
find a
Christmas Day.
producer.
It won't be on Christmas Day. But Let's-
how long do we want this? An hour and 5?
hour and 5 is good. Yeah, where is it at?
Where's that hour?
Okay, cool.
But an hour, but like probably an hour without.
So hour 15. We might have to finish this.
Yeah.
story. It will
Which-
throw us off. It'll throw us off a little bit.
Low key, I'm like, if we're able to finish this, because in an ideal world, each one is its own. I
Yeah.
can't configure how it's gonna work in my
It
brain
was,
right now. But
it was
we'll figure it out.
3,000, and you guys, I don't know. Usually, like a 3,000 word one
Yeah.
usually makes a whole episode. But
No, for sure.
we have like 6 3,000 ones, and I think we're reading a little fast.
Yeah,
now.
maybe we. Okay, so let's see where we're at right now. Boop boop. I mean, that's kind of a lot.
Eggnog does
yeah.
not have the consistency of
What?
scrambled eggs without heat.
Sitting without kidney. What
you're just
eggnog are
trying
you
to say
eating?
something. You're just not crazy.
Well, okay, either one, what eggnog are you drinking, or
pet?
what scrambled eggs are you eating?
It might be
'Cause that's
hoochnog.
Crazy.
Hoochnog.
Hoochnog.
It's eggnog, but made like hooch, homemade.
Hooch is like alcohol.
it's like
It's like in a. It's like.
when you just like ferment.
Yeah.
It's like jail wine. Like you
Oh,
just
gotcha.
ferment a bunch of fruit and then you
Okay.
just drink that.
I think we just keep going.
in
Yeah.
the
We'll
toilet.
figure it out later.
Cool. I was complimented on being a way nicer host than my parents ever were, and we all agreed to do this again next Christmas. I gave you my heart. Now, after Christmas, sister-in-law did finally stop making posts that were obvious digs at me and deleted all of the old ones as well.
Whoa.
Nice.
Big,
Okay.
big step.
But shortly after the new year, she more recently made a new post complaining about how she tried to convince my parents to get a camper like I did so she could set it up in the backyard so Dan and his family could use the whole house as their family home.
So now they're trying to kick the parents out of their home?
Wait, we were joking about that.
Oh
They're
my
actually
God.
doing it.
Which I think the parents are almost like they're conflicted on their stupid wires are crossing.
Yeah.
Their stupid wires are saying Dan is golden child, always give Dan perfect treatment. But his wife and maybe Dan too are like, hey, we want the whole house, all this stuff, which is probably
They're like,
why they push so hard.
"Ooh."
They're like, oh, perfect solution, kick out OP of his
Yeah.
house. And that would solve their stupid wires from
All
crossing.
of the problems.
Gone. Well, a taste of one's own medicine is never fun because my parents turned that idea down vehemently, I hear. No one is going to push them out of their own home, let alone their master bedroom. The post was only up for a couple of days before sister-in-law removed it. Infighting on the crazies? And she hardly posted anything since then. And she loves to complain. But if a tree falls...
dead.
Oh, God. But if a tree falls and no one's around to hear it, can it still complain?
You'd be surprised.
That's the question. Sister-in-law, I guess, has realized there's no point in doing it when no one hears her anymore. And Dan can't afford to move his family out on his salary alone anytime soon. If they end up expecting another child in the next few years, I won't be surprised.
Ay, ay,
Stop,
ay.
like, dude,
Get some contraception in this house.
tie the tubes, get the
Please.
snip, like,
Something.
somebody do
Also,
something.
like, where are they finding the time and the
Well,
privacy?
she's not taking, she doesn't have a job, and she's also not taking care of the kids.
But doesn't Dan have a job?
Yeah, but no one's like the parents are taking care of the kids.
But there's only so many rooms.
Listen, it only takes a few seconds. It only takes a few seconds.
John's girlfriend is a lucky woman.
Slander.
These are your own words.
Yeah, these are your own words.
It's true. That's
I
I'm saying.
can't
It only
speak from
takes a few seconds.
experience.
That's not a false
So
statement.
sad.
I thought it took hours.
This is
I didn't know
embarrassing.
this actually was a
I
thing.
thought it took hours with lots of foreplay, John.
Yeah. Right.
Lots of
Now
cookie
that's
making.
Riley's lying. Sam's being accurate. Anyways, I digress. This is the whole thing that chat wants to talk about that we're not going to give it to him. So things have melted down for me since then.
Mellowed.
Things have mellowed down for me since then. Thank you, Sophia.
I just feel like a meltdown is a different vibe.
Right. And I've even invited friends over for a poker night. I suck at poker because I can never remember a dang thing about it. Feel you, OP. But so what? We get to drink and eat junk food while being merry. We all loaded up on Whoppers from Burger Place and just had at it the best way 4 grown men can pause when they just want to have good, unadulterated time and get pissed. Pause. I think maybe around summer I'll look into possibly dating someone.
Ooh.
Would love to see that in some future updates.
He's like scheduling it. He's like, maybe around summer I'll get a girlfriend.
Put it on the calendar, Let's revisit it.
Yeah.
Circle back. I'm not exactly getting younger here. Fingers crossed that all goes well. My camper just sits idle in my yard now, and I admit there's some days I went out there just to spend some time in it. I did live in it for 2 years. It's like my second home, and maybe one day I'll actually get to use it for camping, like it was meant to be. I've never been camping.
Aww.
Oh, my parents considered it a waste of time, so it'd be a completely new experience for
I
me.
kind of have been camping for 2 years.
You
That-
just need to go to some
this is true.
forest.
Yeah. Like real good camping,
Go camp next to a tree.
right?
Yeah.
This pretty much marks the end of what happened. My parents, brother, and sister-in-law have all been staying very clear of me. In fact, they seem to have gone back to acting like I don't exist, like they did before I bought a house. Not like that bothers me at all. It's better that way. But they'll inevitably come back in some way. I know they will. I just wonder what kind of thing they'll do next. If anything notable like this ever happens again, I'll make another post on this account. If it's
And it
still
will.
active.
It
Oh
will.
And it will.
boy, it will.
But
I think we could stop that.
I feel like, this is a good
We're at
good
average
place to
7
stop it.
minutes.
Sweet sauce.
Sweet sauce.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I
mean, we'll have a post again if anything happens.
but my sister-in-law is still making trouble.
Mm.
My sister-in-law is still at large.
Will they ever warm their eggnog? Will Christmas next year turn into police arresting everyone? Find out
Dun, dun,
on the next
dun.
episode of OK Storytime.
Dun, dun, dun. Wait, I need a wipe.
Yeah, no eating on the stream.
I
Give it a
call
sign
dibs
off.
after. I'm so hungry.
I know, me too.
But if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you.
And see you tomorrow for part 3.